Hi guys, Coach Jackie here from Effectus Athletics, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about inflammation in the body and how our food choices affect not only the inflammation but also our overall health. So to kind of start things off, like what is inflammation? It's really not that complicated. It's quite simply the body's natural defense against foreign invaders such as bacteria and viruses. However, over time, if we chronically expose our body to injury and or foods that we just weren't genetically designed to digest, like processed foods, over time a condition occurs which is called chronic inflammation. So let's just talk first about what are some of the things that can cause chronic inflammation in the body. Processed foods being a big one, but let's go kind of a little bit deeper on that. Why processed foods? Well, many processed foods, for one thing, are really high in sugar. The other thing with processed foods is that they're extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids. So while omega-6 fatty acids are essential to our body's function, the biggest problem is, or the biggest culprit is, that we have so much omega-6s in our diet these days that the balance is way off in our body. So the ratio that would be optimal for our health would be a 3-to-1 ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s. And unfortunately, with kind of like the old dietary recommendations of low fat, high carb, and that we eat for convenience, that ratio has gotten skewed from a range of about 15-to-1 to as high in some people's diets as 30-to-1. So again, optimal was 3-to-1, and it's as high in today's world as 30-to-1. So things like, where can you find omega-6s? So like mainly the oils that like chips or French fries or box food items are baked or cooked in. Those oils being soybean oil, any type of like corn oil, sunflower oil, soybean, probably the largest one. And they do that one because it has a longer shelf life. So one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give is obviously stay to the perimeter of the grocery store, avoiding those foods that come in a box down the aisles. So how can we kind of combat some of this inflammation? And it simply goes back to just making better food choices. I know I already kind of touched on this, but I read a really interesting article from a doctor who admittedly said, like, for many, many years, he's a heart surgeon, and he admitted I was wrong. And I'm going to post this article to Facebook, or if you want to shoot me an email, I'm happy to send it to you. But this heart surgeon basically said for many years that he followed kind of the old school approach of low fat, high carb, and thinking that like fats were the problem. And now he's recognizing that that is so wrong. So, I mean, despite the fact that like 25% of our population takes like expensive statin medications, and despite the fact that we have reduced our fat content of our diets, more Americans will die this year of heart disease than ever before. So just some like quick, these actually statistics are a couple of years old, so it's probably grown since then, but 75 million Americans currently suffer from heart disease, 20 million have diabetes, and 57 million have prediabetes. And unfortunately, like the age that these epidemics are affecting is getting younger and younger. So so what this doctor kind of goes on to say is that a lot of this all boils down to the food choices that we're making and the things that we're putting into our body on a regular basis that are essentially leading to chronic inflammation. And as a heart surgeon, he says that, it's not the fats that we're eating that are making us fat or causing heart disease, but he talks about just these omega-6s causing so much inflammation in our body that simply like cholesterol can't move freely as it should, and that's how it leads to clogged arteries and a whole plethora of issues. So going back, like how can we kind of create a better balance in our body from omega-6 to omega-3s, which can reduce chronic inflammation and improve our overall health, also lowering our risk for some of these, for heart disease, lowering our risk for diabetes. My number one piece of advice, first off, is that I'm going to talk about fish oil, but I want to say this first, is like fish oil cannot get you out of poor dietary choices, lack of sleep, overtraining, and any combination thereof. So even though if people ask me all the time, like, oh, what supplements should I be taking? My response is that everybody should always be taking fish oil. Like hands down, no questions asked. Taking a high quality fish oil is probably one of the best things that you could do for yourself. But again, that doesn't mean because you're taking fish oil that you can go eat processed foods and not take care of yourself and not sleep and eat like crap. So I wanted to say that first and foremost. But again, going back to what I was saying is, like, if you're not taking fish oil, you need to, simply put, you need to start taking fish oil. There's only a few reasons that you wouldn't. Like, if you want to consult a doctor, if you're already on like blood thinners or you're about to have surgery, it'd be a good idea to consult your doctor. But otherwise, everybody should be taking fish oil. So how much fish oil should you be taking? On average, about 2 to 4 grams. So if you take a look at if you already have some and you have a bottle and you take a look at the back of the bottle, you're going to see total omega-3s, which is usually in milligrams. And then you're going to have to look at per serving, so how many pills you have to take to get the total omega-3s. And what you're going to find is that oftentimes if you pick up something from like Walmart or Costco, you're probably going to end up having to take a lot of pills in order to get the required daily dose of EPA and DHA. So what we're more specifically focused on is not the total omega-3s. So if you look at that label, it'll say total omega-3s, 1,000 milligrams. But more specifically, what you want to look at is the EPA and DHA. That's all that matters. So you can pretty much disregard total omega-3s. If you add up the milligrams of the EPA and DHA, that's what we're after. Women, you're probably going to be closer to like 2 to 3 grams. Guys, you're going to be closer to 4 to 5 grams. In the gym, we sell Stronger, Faster, Healthier. It is in liquid form. However, it's highly concentrated. So that means like the EPA and DHA makes up, I think it's over 90% of the total omega-3s. And I guarantee if you look at something that you bought at like Walmart or Costco, the EPA and DHA will maybe, if you're lucky, be 50% of the total omega-3s, which just means like the rest of that, your body's just it's just going to waste. It's just like your body's just not utilizing it. There's no benefit to you. And not to mention, you're probably going to have to take like 10 to 12 pills in order to get that EPA and DHA content high enough, or up to 2 to 4 grams. So just a lot. It's easier to just take a liquid form, in my opinion. However, if the consistency kind of throws you off or you just can't do it, there are pill forms. One of my favorites is by Pure Pharma, that are also just as good. You might just have to take a few more capsules than taking a teaspoon of the liquid fish oil to get the same amount or same benefits. How do I take fish oil? Kind of just already went over that. Capsule form, 2 to 4 grams, and or liquid fish oil that we carry in stock here in the gym. If you take too much, or can you take too much fish oil? It's pretty hard to kind of overdose per se on fish oil. The only thing that will happen is that things will move along probably quicker than you want them to. So the best way to take fish oil is with food, and oftentimes if you just take too much of it, what you'll see is that your food will just move along too quickly, and then also in the toilet you'll just see some oil rise to the toilet. It's not harmful, it just means that you're wasting it and your body's not able to use it. So save yourself some money and just reduce your dosage a little bit. How do you store the fish oil? If you purchase the liquid fish oil at the gym, you're going to want to keep it in a cold, dark place, so meaning your refrigerator is the best place. Otherwise, capsules as well, cold, dark place. You don't necessarily have to keep capsules in the refrigerator. However, you just want to make sure they're not in a place where they're going to get too warm. And for the quality of the fish oil, you want to make sure that it stays dark. So even a cabinet that you knew, if you have an air-conditioned home, a cabinet in your house would be just fine. That kind of covers most of the how-tos for fish oil. If you have any questions, or again, if you want me to email you that article that I read that I thought was phenomenal, written by this heart surgeon, I would be happy to do so. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll see you back here at class.